I was born in a little town, Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's upstate. Honestly, I never really liked school. And I did have a scholarship to go to school. But I decided as a junior in high school that I wanted to go in. And at that time, they were doing the delayed entry program. So that was 1991. And I was 16. And I went to training the summer of my junior year. Then I graduated at 17. In 3 weeks, I was in the military. I was in basic training.
For every recruit who steps off the bus at basic training, over the next 10 weeks, they will find themselves challenged in ways that they could never fully anticipate.
I figured I was made for it, and I wanted to be a drill sergeant. That was what I wanted to do. I went through basic at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. My first duty station was Camp Kyle, Korea. And that was the second base from the DMZ, demilitarized zone. My first duty was, there was the guy who was the records and parts. He worked in the motor pool, which was in charge of all the parts, equipment, maintenance of vehicles and things of that nature for the company. So he was 3 weeks from leaving, and he had that 3 weeks to train me. So that was my sole job, and I was the only female in the entire motor pool at that time. I liked it, you know. I did have, there was quite a bit of sexism then. That army is completely different from the way it is now. And I was, you know, I was met with, you know, I don't think women should be in combat. And I would say, well, I don't either, but too bad, because we're coming. I did the rest of my enlistment was Fort Campbell, Kentucky, 101st Airborne. When I got back to Fort Campbell, I was placed in central issues. So every single, you know, general, colonel, down to enlisted warrant officers, all came through that place when they first got to post and received all their gear. So honestly, and I did that job for 3, almost 4 years. That was the best one, because getting to meet all of the soldiers coming in. And when you come through central issues, especially like when you're, and it's called ETS, so you're entering term of service. And especially when they have to leave, everybody's the same. So, you know, you still treat your generals and higher ups with respect, but they come through, everybody comes through the same line. And it was the meeting. I mean, you pretty much meet everyone that comes on post. So that was the best thing about it. And it was a warehouse job. And it was also me being one of only a couple of females in there at the time. So I always loved that. You know, I always loved being around boys, you know.
As the Army moves forward, women have had and continue to have a crucial role in the Army. Their sacrifices throughout the Army's history and during the War on Terrorism underscore their dedication and willingness to share great sacrifices.
Back then, you had to prove yourself a lot more. My personal experience was, as I said, my mom, I didn't really know how to be a little girl. I didn't wear dresses. Until I got in the Army, I didn't wear shorts. You know, I didn't wear anything form-fitting. I did everything the boys did. I didn't really, you know, honestly, I didn't really realize that I was a female, you know, here. So, you know, being in a situation with a lot of guys, at that time, I just experienced a lot of sexual harassment. I mean, it was just rampant. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't be in anymore. And I was, you know, I was still a kid, You know what I mean? And at that time, you know, due to, you know, like my background and everything, it was overwhelming for me. And I never expected that. And I was disappointed. And I was disillusioned and disappointed with my military career due to the fact that, you know, I thought we were all equal. You know what I mean? I really did not expect to go in and, you know, have that happen. I had this, you know, idealistic view, this code of honor, you know, I had all of that. And that broke it down.
In 2016, the Army opens all specialties, career fields, and branches to women.
The best qualified, regardless of gender, are now afforded the opportunity to serve.
We are American soldiers!
I was very upset. So I threw away every uniform that I had. And I stayed far away from anything that had to do with military. And my boys did not know that because we chose this, they knew that their dad was a soldier, but they didn't know I was. And when he died, of course, I couldn't hide that anymore. And then I moved to VERO, and I met a very quirky Marine, and he became my best friend. And he goes, we're starting this thing for veterans, and wondering if you would like to be a part of that. And he was just he's very good at his job. He's very convincing, very kind, you know, and had a knack for getting to know who people are and motivating them from that. And that is what changed my mind, because I realized that it was what I was missing. You know, I tried a lot of stuff. I was in corporate America, you know, and I still kept running into veterans. You know, my last job, I was a trainer. I was a trainer for a company that contracted out for AT&T, and the first project was employing disabled vets. So, you know, I kept running into veterans every job that I had, but I realized that that's what motivated me the most is, you know, I mean, only veterans know. Only we know. It's like this 1% of the population's secret society, but we just know each other because we all have that experience, whether you've been to combat or not, and helping veterans, helping other veterans, because there's a lot of people, a lot of soldiers, Marines, Seabees, things of that nature that come out and they're disillusioned. They are hurt by their time in the service. So they want to steer far away from anything that has to do with the military. And so for me, for the people that I work with, we want to give them a sense of community and say, hey, these things are available, you know, to you as a veteran, and you don't have to be ashamed, and you don't have to be disillusioned. You know, you can get back to the original oath, which for me, I realized, I think the first event that I attended was a Marine Corps ball. And in that, you know, in my pretty dress, but seeing all the older men, the World War II vets, the Vietnam vets, I got my sense of honor back. And I remembered why I went in. It wasn't just because they gave me a GI Bill. You know, I could have cared less about that. Didn't like school anyway. You know, it wasn't just because I wanted to be away from my mom. It was because that was something that I could do to give my life meaning.